Wheel is spinning. We are live. Good evening, everybody, and welcome.
Hello, hello. It's lovely to see you, Scott.
Thank you. I am Scott, for those that don't know, and of course, our names are on there. Joining me from Atlanta,
Is Jenna Eli? Ooh.
everybody knows Jenna. A few people know me.
Everybody knows you.
All right. So what we have tonight, what we just started last February, was our first month for virtual drams. It's really kind of a deep dive into a bottle, where we advertise early what bottle we're going to kind of focus on, and we put out there and give people a chance to buy it and then taste it along with us. We'll go through, give kind of a real in-depth nosing, tasting, neat with water. Sometimes Jenna doesn't add water. She refuses to, but I do.
I'm just that gal. Right. I don't know. This one's pretty up there in ABV, so there may be some water included.
Yeah, and so I guess I can put I don't think it's any secret what we're tasting tonight. We've had it out there for people to purchase. Now, this was featured in the March Outturn preview tastings,
Yes.
really as like a door greeting warmer upper dram. Come in, get checked in, and you got a little drink of this to wet your palate. This monster at 64.4% ABV. That's quite a warm-up dram.
I mean, when I saw that this was going to be the welcome whiskey, I was like, that's a big welcome whiskey. Typically you want to go for something a little lower in ABV, just kind of wet your palate, much like you and I do before we come on. We grab something to kind of wet our palate. And when I saw that this was going to be the welcome dram, I was like, all right, well, we're just going to dive in head first. So yeah. I like it.
And speaking of Outturn preview tastings real quick as well, in April, we are not hosting in-person events for tastings. They'll resume again in May. So watch for the notifications on that.
Yes, we're taking a little, it's like our spring break. I know it's spring break for a lot of people and their kiddos, throughout the country. So we kind of like to take April off to have our spring break of our own. So yeah, we will be back in May for in-person tastings, and we'll be sharing all of that information with you all next week.
Yep.
So, but speaking of weeks, we've had quite a busy one here at the Society this week. If you missed it, on Monday night, Ben and myself were joined by Cameron George, National Ambassador for Ardbeg, and we really got to take a deep dive into the world of peat. Cam is insanely knowledgeable when it comes to peat. I felt like I was foaming at the mouth listening to him, and on some of those things, I was just totally geeking out. And I love that kind of just deep dive and into those kinds of things. So we really got into like the nitty gritty parts of peat. So if you missed that, you can go back after this, of course, and watch it. It's a really fun watch. So, and then today, was it today? Today, we released a gin today.
Yesterday. I
can't keep up. So yes, we did release a new Scottish gin yesterday. And that was a full US exclusive. We got the whole thing. Yeah. So pretty exciting on that. I know our gins are quite popular.
Yeah.
And if you love a good G&T or a Negroni or, just gin neat, some people do that. These are really, really beautiful to kind of dig through. So definitely worth looking at.
And tomorrow, March last drops will drop.
And if you're not familiar with how last drops work, so essentially what we'll do is we will email you out a list at 1:00 Eastern time, and it's going to have a list of whiskeys that we have, maybe one or two, just a very small amount of. They're not going to be live on the website, so you do have to call us in order to secure any of those, and they go very fast. I cannot stress that enough. They go very fast. So be like on it at 1:00 Eastern time to give us a call, and you'll either get Scott or myself, and we can help you out. So definitely worth looking out for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Let's do a quick roll call here as well for people tuning in. I've got people commenting anyway. Jason Jones is here, the Whiskey Franco, Sean Spaeth, LaCurious George. Don't know if I've seen LaCurious George.
Hilarious.
That name. I know. I like that name. That's neat.
You wear yellow? Do you have a big yellow hat? LaCurious George.
It's it's like a rain hat, isn't it?
Doesn't the I don't know what is it, the man or the guy? I don't know what his name is.
Oh,
He
no,
wears
sorry. I was thinking of Paddington Bear.
that's a red hat.
He's got a red hat.
It
Okay.
has marmalade in it, but I think in non-Licurious George, it's a big yellow hat.
Randall Borkus is here. I've met Randall Borkus and teamed up a couple of times. Big Dog and Bird Dog both are here saying howdy. Ryan Shaw, Warren Buff. Good evening. Haven't ordered 78.49, but I've grabbed a spicy and sweet to play along. Real quick though, if we get into this and you think you're in, if you don't, do comment real quick if you do have 78.49 and you're tasting along with us. If not, in the meantime, there are still 40 available on the website. I looked right before we went live.
Sweet.
And was this one? I think this one was a U.S. exclusive as well.
Yep, we got the full cask, all like 200, 190, like 193 bottles of it.
78.49. I hope you like jammin' too. There's a 12-year-old Highland, spicy and sweet, first fill ex-bourbon barrel, 64.4% ABV, and it's available on the website for $130. And yeah, woo.
Shall we? I really love this distillery. I just have to just blurt it out here in the beginning. I do find that this particular distillery is just really like meaty and big, bold, like just, I don't know. They're just like full wave kind of whiskeys. So I'm super into this.
Martin Fielder tuning in now says, I have 78.49, but working still, so I'll have to dram it up later.
Thanks for watching work.
And the Curious George says, yes, it's the man in the yellow hat.
The man in the yellow hat. I haven't revisited this since we had it for the outdoor preview tasting.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to revisit this.
Spicy fruits. I mean, there's a lot of cinnamon and just a lot of pepper.
It just smells big. Like that's a weird thing, maybe, but it just smells like it's going to be really bold kind of whiskey.
It's got a little banana.
Yeah, there is a tropical thing going on. I'm like trying to take in like big whiffs, but it's like it's a little hot.
Yeah, it burns.
Yeah, like Jenna.
I mean, I'm only coming in about an inch, maybe 2 inches away from the glass too, but it's so aromatic. It's coming right up out of the glass.
It's like very concentrated aroma. Yeah. Like it smells golden. Like if golden had a smell, it would be this whiskey.
That's a good note.
Yeah, it has just like a.
Oh, let's show the color of this too. First fill ex-bourbon barrel, 12 years, so nice cask influence on this one. About what you would expect, I would say.
Yeah, it's a gold, I would say. In technical terms, quite pronounced nose.
It is, yeah. Citrusy, those got some citrus notes there as well.
It has a liquid sunshine kind of smell to it. It just smells very bright, like I would be out in the sun, which I don't really go out in the sun, but if I were to go out in the sun, this would be that kind of whiskey. Yeah, there's like a citrus element. There's almost like a biscuit, honey biscuit thing I'm getting on the nose. And it's quite malty to me. There is like a big malt presence here. It doesn't smell like young malt. It just smells like grain, like horse grain, or it's grainy.
Well, I would touch on real quick as well. Like you said, Distillery 78, you like it has a meaty character. And some people like it. I do. Some people are kind of turned off by it. Sometimes it's a little bit of a funk. And I think I've even had it where it's almost confusing with like a Campbelltown funk kind of on the whiskey.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of a sour.
Yeah, I could see that.
Maybe almost like a soured peach.
Yeah, I could see that. It kind of almost reminds me of like when you drink like a sour beer, like the way that taste is like what I'm smelling. I'm smelling that taste kind of profile.
Yeah, a sour ale. I like sour ales too, and that's spot on with it.
Probably. Oh. That's really my favorite style of beer.
Yeah.
Be sour. I wasn't paying attention because I was in there. The Whiskey Franco, did you put up his notes? I thought those were pretty good.
There we go.
Musty industrial baking spice rack on the nose. I like that. It's a little musty.
Yeah.
A little musty, dusty little thing. All right, I'm ready to taste this.
All right, let's get into it. Cheers.
Right. Yeah, tally ho. I can't swish it like you do. I mean, you're like Listerining it. Like you are just like putting in between all of your teeth. Like, saying, I can't do that.
Man, that is a palate on this thing.
It's huge. This whiskey is like, I need a minute. I need some water, I think.
But fudge brownie. I wasn't necessarily getting any chocolate or brownie on the nose or anything, but really at the front of the palate for me, a big old chocolate brownie, fudge or kind of like a fudge syrup drizzle on it. And Whiskey Franco pointing says, after keeping a lid on the Glencairn and taking it off, there's a sugar lemon bar note, almost a little kombucha fizziness too.
Okay, the kombucha fizziness I get on the palate. It's like it's like that feeling. It's like a carbonated sour. There's no feet. I think kombucha smells and tastes like feet, but there's no feet thing happening. But that like sour, fizzy, like effervescent carbonation thing, definitely get that on the palate of this.
Yeah, little almost like that kombucha vinegary.
Yep.
Apple, almost. I'm going back to the nose, almost like an apple cider kombucha. Yeah. Well, I'm still tasting it though. Even that little sip that I took, berries and fudge, chocolate brownie.
This is more like oaty to me. Like it kind of makes me think of like Weetabix with like fresh fruit on top and then like a little milk chocolate drizzle. I definitely get that little chocolatey thing, but it's like oaty, and I get a lot of that grain like I got on the nose, like horse grain, like it's sweetened with fresh fruit, like a fruit tart. Basically, if you made a fruit tart on a Weetabix and did a little milk chocolate drizzle, I get a little bit of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fresh mown grass. Musty.
Yes.
Yeah. Wet.
I like that musty note follows both on nose and palate of this.
Yeah.
You like that.
Ooh. That still it's a nice one even after drinking, just to sit there. I mean, I just keep going back and just smelling it because there's so much on the nose.
It's just such a, I don't know how else, I know it's like broken record, but I mean, it's just such a big whiskey. I mean, everything is so like amplified. Every flavor note in this whiskey is just like on steroids. It is just intense.
Lemon tart. Oh, did somebody say lemon tart a little bit ago?
I saw the Whiskey Franco lemon lime soda. Not like a Gatorade.
sugar lemon bar note from the whiskey Franco.
And
But
Sean
yeah,
loves lemon bars. So, Sean, what you doing?
I'm going through the tasting wheel, just trying to pair up something more with that kind of this sourness, musty background note, and just try to pin down more of what it is.
I'm going to finish this little baby dram neat, and then I'm going to do a tiny pour with a little bit of water. But I feel like when I took that first sip, it was just like so intense. But when I went back and took a second sip, I could like keep it in my mouth a lot longer and really kind of pull out a lot of those flavors. So I'm going to kind of just nurse this little baby pour that's left.
This is one that soaks into the gums and the teeth. I'm running my tongue along my teeth, and it's pulling out all these notes still. There's like a berry. I mean, there's some berries here as well. It's like a berry candy, kind of like I almost feel like I bit into a berry flavored candy and a syrup, kind of squirted out. And it's just
like a gusher.
Yeah, kind of like a gusher. Yeah. Sweet, fruity, salty. Wow.
I definitely get that like acidic, tart citrus note. Like that was probably my third sip of this. Like, and I take very tiny little sips, but I'm definitely getting that kind of lemon lime, like bitter rind, kind of like in the middle of my palate. But I'm still getting like it's like biscuity, oaty, like grainy to me. It's like grainy, fruity, citrusy, but with like weight.
What was the biscuit you referenced earlier?
A Weetabix.
Yeah, Weetabix. What's that? I've never heard of that.
Weetabix is a cereal, basically.
Weetabix?
Weetabix.
Weetabix.
It comes in these like little bricks like this. And my dad, like when I was growing up, he always had it in the house, and my grandmother always loved it. It was just always kind of a cereal that we had in the house, but it comes in like you open it up and it's like a pack. It almost looks like it's like the shape of a hash brown almost. And you pull it out and it's dry and you're like, why the hell would I want to eat this? It's not good. But then you put milk on it and you can put like some brown sugar or some fruit in it. And I love it so much. My kid grew up on it, absolutely loves it. But it's just like very like oaty and like malty and just really delicious. And Sean said, aren't they like a giant shredded wheat? Kind of. Shredded wheat is more, I don't know, that they come in like, isn't shredded wheat like a big, like the thing in like Chex Mix? But
yeah.
Weetabix are like, it's like a hash brown sized oat cake, or like, I don't even know. Yeah, like an oat cake basically. And you just got to put like lots of milk on it, and then it gets like kind of mushy, and it sounds gross, but it's so good.
Big Dog is apparently a Buffy the Vampire Slayer watcher. He says Weetabix, Spike the vampire, Buffy's nemesis, likes them in a bowl with fresh blood.
Oh, well.
I wouldn't recommend anybody do that.
Newsflash. I like mine too. No.
All right, I've got a couple drops of water on mine. Nose is changing a little bit on that. But what did it change to? It is different, more malty now, not as much of the fruit and the spice showing, more oak. I think a little bit more of the funk. Interesting. Woo. It still burns the nose though, even with two healthy drops of water on it.
Okay, I put a good amount of water because I don't have my dropper. I just did the Ben Diedrich pour of water into my whiskey. And I have to say, I think with a little bit of water, this thing is even more bright and fresh on the nose than it is neat. Like neat, it was like very heavy and weighty and like dense. And with a little bit of water, it kind of opened up and it's like quite bright and like floral and.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to think. I knew it changed it, and I was thinking at first I remembered it being spicy and funky and
Yeah.
fruity,
Yeah.
and now it changed it up, but it's almost more malty. I can see floral.
Yeah. It's like flower fields.
And almost like the potted soil,
Mm.
the earthiness, the wetness of pot soil. Wow.
With water, off the charts. I think I'm getting old or something. Scott, I keep liking all these whiskeys with water. What's wrong? I really like this with water. And I like I said, I had a good kind of heap of water that I added to that. So bright. So that citrus note really kind of is like even more amplified than it is neat. So the lemon bars that you all in the chat were speaking of, think of like the tangiest, like brightest, just chewiest kind of lemon bar with water. I think that is it across the board, like a shortbread crust. There's like that shortbread crust and like, yeah, it's like liquid lemon bar.
Yeah, it definitely, man, even the finish got better with water. It really expanded it and pushed it out. And it really became almost more, well, no, I want to say more alcoholic, but more, a little bit more, I think, flavor bite to it. But those citrus notes definitely jumped out. And I'm just trying to place even.
Oh. And I almost think that chocolate note comes out more with water.
Wow.
It's like a lemon bar with a glass of Ovaltine. Malty, chocolatey, lemony, shortbready deliciousness. I like this with water. I like it neat a lot, but with water, what is happening to me, Scott? What's happening to me?
Don't worry, I won't tell anyone.
Thank you.
Ooh.
It's just on the internet forever.
With water, citrus notes, more malty. It's a little bit brighter, but then also a little bit more of the funk. I hate to keep saying funk. I want to try to narrow it down and say what it is. A little bit of that potted soil still, maybe a little bit mushroom, brown.
So is it like a pot of like a potted soil that's been like in a pot in the backyard for like years and it's been like rained on and it's like a little
no, it's like the bag of potting soil that you buy at, like mom, grandma buys. Maybe you buy them at the at Lowe's. Yeah, run down there and get them.
I'm a mom, but you're calling me a grandma too? Jeez, Louise.
No, your mom, your grandma, you maybe if you're into that, I don't know, potting soil. That was it. But no, that bag, when you when you tear it open for the first time.
And it's like musty, like hot.
Yeah.
A hot smell, like it's like a greenhouse.
Greenhouse. Okay. Yeah.
A greenhousey smell. I'm not becoming a lightweight, Sean. Take it back. This is just quite a big whiskey. Needs a little bit.
So I didn't have, because I hosted the Outturn preview tasting in Los Angeles and San Diego. We had the bottles there at the events. I didn't get to bring them home with me.
Yeah.
So I only had it like just at the opening, just a small pour of it since I was hosting. But I didn't really get to do a deep dive with it like this. And it's much better than I remember.
Yeah.
And the fact is, that night even there were a lot of people that really liked this whiskey, and was asking about it. So it was pretty popular at the tastings as well.
Same for me in Tampa. I mean, we had quite a lineup for the month of March.
Yeah.
Crazy whiskeys for the month of March. And this one was definitely one that stood out. So
there you go. Whiskey Franco again. He says, yeah, earthy funk, the mushroom spot on, meaty, earthy, woodsy. Yeah, but then also citrusy, sweet. lemon tart, berry bursts. What was the candies you said?
Gushers.
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 There's some spice, cinnamon, and then peppery as well. Trying to see if there's any other spices I can suss out of this one.
Okay, so I just wanted to do a little side by side of these whiskeys. So I grabbed 78.46, Curious Situation. This was in our spicy and dry flavor profile. And just on the nose alone, they're so similar.
Oh, really?
Yes. I mean, big, bold, dense, like they smell heavy. That kind of golden aroma note. You can just imagine like all things golden. What does that smell like?
Oh, look what I got right here too.
You have it too? All right, hold on. I got to get another glass because I want to do like an actual, I just had one glass. I want to do an actual side by side just because I'm curious.
For you people watching, we don't attempt this. Okay. We get paid to do this, so you don't have to.
Yeah. But two, this is very not scripted. We had no intention of doing this at all.
So that is, okay. So Curious Situation 78.46 was an 11-year-old first fill ex-bourbon barrel, 64% ABV. So yeah, real close on all fronts there.
Yeah, I'm just really curious to do a little. I think in doing these kind of side by side, sometimes you really get to kind of pinpoint a distillery character. Gives you an opportunity to kind of find the baseline, so to speak. I know in single cask, it's very difficult to kind of pull that out. But I think it's also a lot of fun to kind of do that. So
I added a second round of water on my 78.49 for tonight. I'll let that sit for a minute. But yeah, you're right. The noses are.
All right. Okay, so definitely a little fruitier on jamming. The 49 is a little fruitier for sure. But I don't know. They're
46 is almost a little waxy.
A little waxy. I mean, but I don't know that like bold denseness is in both of these.
Oh yeah. A little bit wood furniture shop. So you're in a furniture making wood shop on 46.
And just to kind of dive into this a little deeper, both of these whiskeys were distilled on the exact same day.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So Curious Situation just bottled
a little later.
Or bottled a little sooner. Curious Situation.
Oh, Curious Situation a little sooner. Yes.
Yeah, and hope you.
2009, both of these, both in first fill ex bourbon, and ABV is like so close. So that's I did not even know that before I pulled that off the shelf. I just knew that was my closest without having to dig. 78.
So 60. So look at the new one though. 78.49 set in the cask a little bit longer, and it went up in ABV.
It did
from 64 to 64.4.
It did.
So that's neat.
That extra year, it would have been really interesting to kind of taste these side by side at the same age, like if they had, bottled them at the same time. But you did get more fruit and like brightness and, I don't know, there's like more malty character for being in there for an extra year. Really interesting.
Definitely spicier and drier. Funny. I mean, since that's what flavor profile it's in. But no, there's a lot more pepper on 78.46.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more astringent as well. It really dried out my mouth compared to
very dry. I mean, after having the 49, which is like kind of mouth coating, that one it kind of dries it all up.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Does it taste like Japanese whiskey to you?
Like what?
Japanese whiskey?
Oh, Japanese whiskey? No, because we had an interesting fact on that, didn't you?
I mean, I remember many years ago when I found this out, I was kind of floored that a lot of, and I'll let you all do the research here, a lot of Japanese whiskey is made from this distillery, which is crazy. I think in like the early 2000s, like 2000, or sorry, 2021, early 2000s, I'm losing it. Up to 75% of what they were making was going over to Japan. I think that was in 2021 is when that stat was kind of listed. So I'm not sure what it is now, 2 years later, but it is like, I can see how it would be used to add like a backbone to a whiskey. Just because it is so big and bold and dense and meaty.
Wow. Yeah, and the Whiskey Franco pointing out that after 25 minutes sitting in the glass, the jam inside is showing fig jam, apricot jam, strawberry spread. Is it apricot or apricot?
Is it potato or is it potato? Is it tomato? How do you say it? Apricot?
Well, just reading it off there, I said apricot, but I don't think I normally say apricot.
I say apricot.
I say apricot.
Yeah, I'm an apricot. Are you a pecan or a pecan?
Pecan.
Pecan pie?
Pecan pie.
Pecan pie? I can't. It's pecan pie. I can't say pecan pie. It just sounds like pecan pie. It's like pecan. Do you say potato?
Yes.
Okay.
Taters.
I
made some tater salad today.
Oh, that's so Wichita of you.
Well, my tater salad's world famous. It's not normal. It's not normal tater salad. Back to 78.49 with 2 rounds of water on it.
2 rounds of water?
Yeah. Wow. Boy, I think I got the ABV down to a reasonable 55% probably.
All right, I'm going to add
still, man, I tell you what, it's still there. That's a little bit too much water. It was really good with that first round of water. That's probably where I liked it at. But man, it's still just effervescent and saturating on the palate. All those notes still there.
I added a significant amount of water to that. And I mean, I'm probably down in like the 40s ABV wise on this. And I'm getting almost like a black tea note, kind of pulling all of that ABV away. I'm getting almost like a little black tea note. But that's with like, again, a significant amount of water.
Yeah.
Drops like a tablespoon of water.
I think mine got a little sweeter, almost more like a powdered sugar came through, almost like that lemon tart with some sprinkled powdered sugar on top of it. Man, it's still, yeah. I mean, I'm even going to do another one and see if I can get it down there.
I feel like that lemon tart theme has been throughout this entire tasting.
Yeah.
So I think if you were to describe this whiskey, and actually I'm going to read the tasting notes on this again, because I don't know what they say.
Okay.
I'm quite curious to actually, should we read the full tasting notes? The long form tasting notes?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Let me pull those up really quick. Maybe if my computer wants to cooperate. Because I'm quite curious. I don't remember. All right, so 78.49. Let's give these a full read here. All right, so the full tasting notes on this say, the fragrance of rose water, jasmine, and coconut milk instantly suggested Thai green curry before marzipan and notes moved us toward tropical fruits, bergamot, and kumquats. The palate was sweet and opulent with a mouth-coating demeanor that embraced sticky syrup, apricot jam. So there you go, Whiskey Franco. Apricot jam and vanilla custard. With time came hints of wood char alongside coffee beans, wood spices, and toasted rye bread. A dash of water enhanced the wood with aromas of pine forest, charred oak, and dunnage warehouses. A hint of seaside brought gravadlax. I am not sure what that is.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a Google of that. Gravid lax. While on the palate, the sweetness had become earthy and drier with fresh tobacco, grape skin, and rum notes that developed into burnt toffee and ginger biscuits. So I think they kind of hit, a couple of those, the jammy things, the woody things, the biscuity kind of quality of this whiskey. And I have no idea what Gravid lax is.
GRAVADLAX.
There was a D in there, but I don't. Is that okay? Gravid-lax. It's a delicious Swedish cured salmon dish. That means blunty buried salmon. So gravlax or graved salmon is a Nordic dish consisting of salmon that is cured using a mix of salt and sugar, either dill or spruce twigs placed on top, and may occasionally be cold smoked afterwards. That sounds fantastic. Oh, actually, that sounds kind of familiar. That sounds kind of familiar. That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
I don't know if I got salmon, dilly salmon on this, but I don't know. Sounds good.
I like the green Thai curry. I was trying to think with my cinnamon and pepper earlier. I about said cardamom, which is used in a lot of curry dishes. But yeah, nutty and some walnut. I can see like some dark or some black walnut tea, black tea.
There's like a tea thing I got with a significant amount of water.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. Yeah, that's where I'm at now because I've gone into 3 rounds of water. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the more water you add, it's just like you would think things would kind of like dilute down a little bit, but I feel like it doesn't. I feel like it's like growing on the nose and on the palate with every little bit of water that is added.
Yeah. I've added several good rounds. I think I'm still 45 to 48% ABV. As much water as I've added, you'd think it'd really be diluted down. It's not. Yeah. Palate's still there. Still very nice. All of those flavors, all those aromas. It's just, yeah. I mean, it's almost like one of those where more, as we're sitting here, it's getting air and we're adding water. It's almost like more and more is revealing itself. Wow.
That's like the great thing about single cask, right? Anything is that you get so many experiences in one bottle, right? Like you could have just had this neat and experienced it neat and have this very intense kind of moment with this whiskey because all of those flavors and those notes are quite intense. Mm-hmm. Then you add like a little bit of water and it's like bright and fresh and you're like, wait, what's happening? And then you add more water and you're like, whoa, wait, there's like black tea and like other things coming out. It's like so many different experiences just based on how much water you add in all of these bottles. And yeah. I love that.
Yeah. And dunnage is good too. That's when we were trying to think we kind of had that earthy, kind of musty humidity note. And I mean, that's your dunnage warehouses, those with the dirt floors and those whiskeys that age in there. Usually they're older whiskeys. You get about at least 18 to 20 years old and they've sat in those dunnage houses. A lot of those dunnage notes get through that oak into that whiskey. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of crazy how that happens. So
yeah.
Great whiskey. Really good pick for this month. It's a really fun whiskey to kind of dig into. I'll be excited to see what you and Ben pick for the month of April. Since an outturn.
So next Monday, Ben and I will be hosting the April outturn preview tasting. We'll choose one of the bottles to host like this for next year. Next month, do this deep dive per se, the virtual Drams. Invite everybody to give them a chance to buy that bottle and tune in with us and taste along with us. So,
yeah, I'll be excited to see what it is you pick.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
My whiskeys are on the way.
And Jelly, I will not be part of this outturn. It's the boys' turn to go through an outturn.
I missed the last two, so I was like, let me do it.
Exactly. You got to catch up. But you and I are going to do the mid-month. So,
yeah.
But I think for April, we got some pretty cool stuff coming out. I think people will be quite excited to see some things. That's all I can say. Some things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're tasting. So yeah, it'll be fun. And again, we'll get you all the information for the May Outturn preview tastings here in the next week or so. So you can plan ahead and come join us for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All
right.
All right.
Well, thanks to everybody that tuned in. Appreciate it. And thanks
again,
everybody that had a bottle as well. Go ahead. Sorry.
Nope. And if you do want to pick this bottle up, we do still have some left on the website. So cruise on over to smwsa.com and that's where you can find it.
Yep. All right. And as we say on the back of every bottle, Scotch Malt Whiskey Societies are not for swigging, glugging, or knocking back. Please drink responsibly.
Cheers.
Cheers.